Oh, Jane, you go ahead.
Shireen Mai was a very witty person, Mehera continued. We took pains to please her whenever she came, but sometimes she had moods. You all are happy with Baba, she used to say. Baba this and Baba that. But Baba is mine. I am his mother. You all have stolen him from me. Sometimes she was joking, but other times she was serious. She would scold us girls. You all are happy here with Merog. Well, I am alone in Pune without my son. It is all your fault. You have taken my son away from me. She would talk like that, wishing to blame someone for Baba's absence. In the beginning, when her other sons were staying with Baba, she used to feel that she was at home alone in the house. Franny's daughter, Meru, explained that there were a number of reasons for Shireen Mai's sometimes ill-tempered manner. The Zoroastrian community in Pune and Bombay were strongly against Baba at this time. Shireen Mai was greatly distressed by the antagonism of the nearby community of her Irani neighbors, who took every opportunity to pointedly ignore her and talk against her and Baba behind her back. Because of her son, Shireen Mai, who had been a belle of Irani society in Pune, was shunned and ostracized by her peers in Pune. And around this time, Shariarji was duped by an employee, and the family lost their business savings, and financial standing in their community. Shireen Mai naturally felt deeply about all of this, and whenever she came to Meherabad to be with Baba, she let off a lot of steam. The young girls of the ashram, whose presence in the ashram also caused gossip about Baba, got the brunt of her pain until she cooled off. Naturally, they felt apprehensive when she came, for they never knew what would upset her. They tried conscientiously not to upset her and gave her the same deference Baba gave her, not only as their elder, but also the mother of their master. When Baba was a child, Shireen Mai used to frequent the fire temple, but when Merwan became Mehera Baba, she stopped attending services there. Nevertheless, she remained a staunch follower of Zoroaster her entire life and always wore the sadra and kusti. Oh, so sadra is a Zoroastrian thing, huh? When she came to Meherabad, she would notice if the girls were doing their sacred thread rituals. Daulat Mai, Mehera, and small Khorshid had stopped wearing theirs after coming to stay with Baba. Franny, living until recently with Rustam's family in Ahmednagar, continued to wear hers. Baba also wore a kusti until sometime in 1925, when he too discontinued using it. Baba's sign for the Zoroastrians was the kusti, both hands pulling apart an imaginary string. For Hindus, he would gesture for the thread they wear across their chest, from their shoulder to their waist. And for Muslims, his gesture was the fez cap. Other gestures Baba used included slapping a person's palm when he gave a promise. Sometimes Baba would tell someone about something that would happen in his or her life, and that person would ask, "But how do I know what will happen? How can I be sure?" Baba would say, "I promise," and held out his hand, slapping their palm in promise. The person concerned would feel confident that whatever Meher Baba had said would come true. Many times Baba would hold out his hand saying, I promise, Mehera recalled. But how many promises Baba kept? I don't know. Mehera described another habit Baba had. Baba, and Indians in general, had the habit of pinching his throat and swearing something. Pinching his throat and swearing something, as if one were swearing on one's life, similar to Westerners saying, "Cross my heart." Baba told me once never to swear by him, never to take.
You're muted, Eugene.
Never take his name and swear something on it. So what I do now when I want to convince someone that what I am saying is true, I put my hand on Baba's photo. I don't swear by it, but I put my hand on it so they can see and believe that what I am saying is true. That's how I do it now. During the women's stay at the post office, Gulmai sent them many provisions, toiletries, furniture, and so on, especially when her daughter, Dolly, lived with them. Dolly would tell Adi Sr., her brother, that they needed 6 tubes of toothpaste, for example, and he would bring it when he came from town. Dolly was an exceptionally hard worker. Nadja was sick much of the time, so more of the strenuous work was done by Dolly, who was devoted to Mehera. She loved Mehera dearly since their days together at Kushu quarters. And she would always do things for her. Later on, Baba, for his own reasons, separated Dolly from the other women. Gulmai too was fond of each of the girls. Like Shireen Mai, Gulmai faced much opposition to Baba from her husband's family. But according to Meru, her granddaughter, in her quiet, gentle way, Gulmai would try to do what Baba wanted of her and to get her husband to do so also. Between his love for Gulmai and his love for his sister and brother-in-law, Sarosha's parents, who were deadly against Baba. He himself was drawn to Baba, but at the same time, he had to keep his brother-in-law, who was also his business partner, happy. And the sidebar says, Gulmai's older daughter, Paroja, 15, also lived with the women at Meherabad for a short time before her marriage, which was arranged at this time according to Baba's instructions. Gulmai herself, in accordance with her gentle nature, would have much preferred to be away from all the family discord and spend her days quietly with Upasni Maharaj at Sakori. But she, whom Baba regarded as his spiritual mother, had an active role to play, and Baba had to wean her away from this inclination to play her part in his advent. Shireen Mai, Gulmai, and Daulat Mai were the 3 older women of Baba's early women's group who played a crucial role in his work, Meru explained. One was Baba's natural mother, one his spiritual mother, and one the mother of his beloved. Each, because of her relationship with Baba, had many difficulties to face with the outside world. Baba held these 3 close ones in great regard, and in his deference to them, he never, quote unquote, ordered them to do something, but instead persuaded them to want to do what he wanted of them. Daulat Mai got along with Gul Mai, but later, when Baba's mother and Mani came into the picture more, Gul Mai was not called as frequently, according to Adi Sr. Shireen Mai was jealous of Gul Mai, he stated. She harassed and harassed her. She was jealous of the spiritual mother. When Shireen Mai would come to Mehrabad, she used to fight to such a degree that she drove Gul Mai away. She absolutely hated her. She wouldn't like to see the sight of her. She was extremely jealous, but she liked me very much. I'm trying to figure out who the me was. Adi?
Yeah, it was Adi Senior.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Shireen Mai was so jealous of Gul Mai, she would even take her necklace or other jewelry and keep it. She would remark how attractive it was and then ask for it. Gul Mai would bring savory dishes for Baba as well. Shireen Mai would say, "Throw it out, Merog. It will give you a stomach ache. Your stomach is so sensitive anyway." Baba would say that he wished to eat it, but Shireen Mai would counter, "What do you know? You are a child." A 40-year-old child at that point, right? And Shireen Mai herself would throw away the dish. Many times Adi Sr. saw Baba go to Gul Mai, fold his hands and say, "Forgive me for my mother's actions." Mehra supported Adi's view, but commented, Shireen Mai and Gul Mai were jealous of each other, but they did speak to each other. Shireen Mai was like a child. If she was well dressed in a nice sari, she felt happy. She didn't know much English, but she was sharp-witted. She used to say she was glad she was born in India and not in Iran, so people wouldn't refer to her as a jungli, meaning uncouth, Irani, from a peasant country. She was very proud of the fact that she was born a month after her parents arrived in India from Persia. She loved India. She was also the kind of person that if a train left at 7 p.m., she was at the station by 5:30. She was a very practical woman. For example, with a damp cloth in her purse to rub a corner of the material to test its color fastness. Shireen Mai was a good raconteur and would narrate stories of peculiar people in their lane and amusing things that had happened when Baba was a child. Once, she told them about a time when she was sitting in the gallery of a dilapidated theater with mostly Muslim women in burqas or robes who did not want to be seen by men. Halfway through the drama, the balcony collapsed. It was very serious. All the commotion, many injured. But Shireen Mai made light of the incident by describing the Muslim women falling into, falling
Into the laps of the men seated below.
Oh, that's funny. Shireen Mai loved going to the theater as there were no cinemas then in Pune. She would not miss a good play ever, said Mani. Once, when Baba was a babe in arms, she went to the theater. Suddenly, there was a shout of fire. Everyone ran out of the theater in a panic, though it proved to be a false alarm. Shireen Mai ran out too, cradling Merwan in her arms. A janitor glanced at her and then quickly looked away, blushing. Shireen Mai was confounded. She had been breastfeeding Merwan in her arms and had been so distraught she forgot to cover herself. Shireen Mai was very young and so embarrassed, she related, that she did not visit that theater again for 3 months. Tina, could you or Rosalie continue from here?
Oh, okay. Do you want to do it, Rosalie, or should
Yeah, I'll do it. Baba knew his mother loved him, said Mehera, though it would be years before she acknowledged his divinity. She used to say, wherever the royal elephant roams in the forest, the name of its owner will always be known. The elephant may wander, but everyone will recognize the one who owns it and give that person respect. What she meant was, as Baba was her son, her name would always be remembered and appreciated too.
Ah,
There he is, M.S. Irani.
yeah, that's his Baba's enemy. And that is this brother of Mehera's mother.
Yeah, yeah. And he's back.
Yeah. And we
He's
have
back.
a whole chapter on him.
Yeah, he's right in Baba's family now. On 17 October 1925, Diwali was celebrated at Meherabad with the men and women Mandali giving Meher Baba a ceremonial bath. In a scene reminiscent of Jesus having his feet bathed and anointed by Mary of Bethany, this rare privilege was also allowed to those coming for Baba's darshan. And a considerable amount of money was spent on perfumes and fragrant soaps. Later, as part of the program, a singing competition was to be held. One of the men, Kaka Shahane, lived in the family quarters in Erangowan after Rustam and Franey left. And his daughter, Shanta, 15, visited the women's quarters from time to time. Shanta had a melodious voice and was eager to enter the competition. The women coached Mani, who had come to Meherabad for the holiday, to enter also. Small Khorshid too would have been a good entry with her talent for singing. But the women did not think Baba would have approved if one of them entered, as it was too public a program. Khorshid, who had received private singing lessons, taught Mani the tune of a Gujarati song she had learned as a child. The competition was held on the platform in front of the Sai Darbar, the large building erected for such occasions, and the women had been permitted to attend. We were all very excited about it, said Mehera. Mani was to sing a nice song with Baba's name in it. It was the first time someone had put Baba's name into a song. Something about give your love to Baba. We were sure she would win first prize. She wore clean iron clothes. Shanta sang a song by Kabir, and her technique was good. Mani, the youngest contestant whoop, you're going too far, Tina.
Oh,
Couple of lines back. Okay.
This way.
Mani there, the youngest contestant at 7, went next. Baba and the Mandali were the judges. They liked Mani's song, but gave Shanta first prize. She won a silver tray and a powder box. Mani took second prize. Another singing program was held on a different occasion, but someone who did not attend, although she loved music, was Small Khorshid. She was having her period, and as was the usual practice, she was supposed to stay in one place and rest. Since visitors were present, however, Khorshid did not know where to go or what to do. She informed Gustaji through Dalit Mai, and he told her to have a bath and then sit for meditation. Baba happened to come and see her meditating, and knowing that she was having her period, he said, "You shouldn't meditate now." For a punishment, he told her to take a cooking pot, place it over her head, and stand in the corner. Other women were also meditating, including Dalit Mai. Mani was running about, trying to get some attention and disturbing Dalit Mai and the others. When Khorshid was made to stand in the corner with the pot on her head, Mani had fun teasing her. "Laugh now," Khorshid told her, "but just wait, your time will come," forgetting her period. Baba saw Mani teasing Khorshid and disturbing Dalit Mai and the others' meditation, and made her too stand in the corner with the bucket on her head. Mani was a precocious child, bright and witty, but also very innocent. Once, when someone asked her what she was going to be when she grew up, she studied the person and thought, quote, "How stupid can you be?" End quote. And then replied, "Why, an old woman, of course." At home, Mani slept in the same bed as her mother, and Shireen Mai was always strict with her. One night, Mani wet the bed. Knowing her mother would scold her, she sat up in bed and tried to fan the spot dry. She fell asleep holding the fan. But when her mother found her like this, she only laughed. Once when Mani was visiting Meherabad and staying in the post office, the same thing happened. She was worried that the others would scold her, but her sister-in-law, Big Khorshid, said not to worry, she would clean it up. Mani could not believe how understanding and nice everyone was about it. Oftentimes when Mani visited them, Mehera taught her the ABCs. Mani was attending the Dastur school, the same one where Baba had gone. But Mehera suggested to Shireen Mai, "Why don't you send Mani to the convent school where she will learn English? It will be good for her," since at that time Mani did not know a word of English. Shireen Mai acted on the suggestion and transferred Mani to the convent school. During the first week that Mani was there, the teacher asked her to go outside and bring in a leaf. Mani went outside and brought back a stone. The other children laughed and teased her, but she did learn to speak English. Mani had holidays twice a year, and she always came to Baba. When I was going to Baba, to Meherabad, the colors seemed brighter. Even the wheels of the train seemed to be saying Baba. It was thrilling for me to see the name Ahmednagar in big letters on the water tank at the railway station. Even at home, whenever someone came from Baba, it was the next best thing to being with him. I didn't want to go to school during those days. I didn't want to miss a single day of being with her, of talking of Baba, hearing of life in the ashram. I tried to pretend I had a stomach ache, but it didn't work. Mother tried to give me castor oil. Once, before Baba began his silence, when Mani was 6, she had come to Meherabad to stay with the women for a few days. She had been given a sort of rosary and had been told to take Baba's name. She had probably been talking too much and was given this activity to keep her quiet. While repeating Baba's name, she was stung by a scorpion and kept everyone up all night. She was allergic to the sting. She was allergic to the sting and cried, but not because the sting smarted. Quotes, "How could that scorpion sting me?" She protested indignantly. "I was taking Baba's name." "Baba has sent this prasad especially for you," she was told. I always knew that Baba was God, Mani related. Ever since I was a child, I knew as naturally as any child knows that this is a chocolate, this is an orange, this is a book. As naturally as that, I knew he was God. He happens to be my brother. He's my brother who happens to be God. I was never modest about it. I was very aware, conscious of the fact, my brother is God. Even her letters to Baba, written in Gujarati when she was 7, were very formal, filled with respect. Shireen Mai too would write deferentially to Baba as if he were an elder. "Whatever you say, Mehrag, I will carry out your orders." Mehra's birthday was celebrated at Meherabad for the first time in December 1925, when she was 18. Baba distributed jalebis, sweets, and tea. It was not done on a large scale, but in a small way among the women mandali. Years later, when Mani was rummaging around in her trunk at Meherazad, she found a picture of Baba wearing a crown. On the back was inscribed, "Happy birthday to my dear Aunt Mehera. Forget me not," along with some of her poetry.
So this is Mani sending a card to Mehera?
To Mehera, yeah.
Okay.
Mehera and the other girls spent many hours making decorative items for Baba to wear. The first crown that they ever made for Baba was for his 32nd birthday in 1926. Kaikoush Rumasa, who was a jeweler, had given Khorshid a white diamond and some red rubies. Khorshid brought the stones with her when she joined the ashram, and the girls got the idea to make a crown using these precious stones. "We didn't want Baba to wear the diamond on his chest or around his neck," Mehera explained, "as it would have looked too feminine. So we thought to put it in a crown. We used fake jewelry too, but this time we wanted Baba to wear something genuine. We made the crown into a star in the center and stitched the small diamond and tiny rubies onto the star. The crown is still at Meherabad in one of the trunks. Baba wore one other piece of genuine jewelry that day, a small ring that belonged to Mehera. Daulat Mai had given it to Mehera in Pune on her birthday. It was a delicate diamond-shaped ruby ring embedded with pearls. Mehera had tried it on then, admired it, and put it away, since it was too valuable to be worn every day. When Daulat Mai's property was liquidated and their valuables brought to Baba, he asked Daulat Mai whose ring it was, and she told him it was Mehera's. Baba removed the ring from the jewelry to be sold and gave it back to Mehera, who put it in her trunk. On Baba's birthday, she remembered it and brought it out to give him. Since the ring was small in circumference, it only fit on his pinky finger. A year earlier, Baba had given Mehera a heart-shaped gold ring, and now she was delighted to give him one as well. Baba's hand looked so lovely with it on. He left it on for a while and afterwards gave it back. Besides the crown, the girls made several other items for Baba to wear that day. One was an artificial marquee ring with gold thread, false diamonds, and an emerald in the middle. On this and one other occasion, Mehera made 3 necklaces for Baba, golden chains with almond-shaped teardrops. And they made anklets out of genuine gold thread that would not tarnish. Baba's feet were bare and looked so lovely on the divan at Meherabad. Baba's feet were bare and looked so lovely on the divan at Meherabad with the tiny, dainty anklets. We also brought ready-made soles and attached embroidered straps to make gold sandals for Baba, which he wore. Upasni Maharaj would sometimes dress as a woman, so the author asked Mehera if they ever dressed Baba that way. She said no, but for one occasion in 1927, when they were staying in the bathroom building, they had draped a sari around Baba's shoulders for fun. Mehera said, "I never saw Baba wear earrings though." In those early days when the women were dressing up, preparing for such a function, being young and romantic, Mehera would imagine that it was her wedding and that she and Baba were getting married. At times, I did have those feelings, she confessed. The women could only take Baba's darshan on special occasions, like his birthday, and they never brought flowers. I don't remember ever garlanding Baba when we were in Lower Meherabad. For Baba's birthday in 1926, an embroidered sari of Mehera's was placed on Baba's gadi, couch divan. And there was a distribution of prasad inside darbar. Baba handed out the prasad to the boys and men, and then the women were called. I loved Rawa, said Mehera, and that day it was the prasad, full of raisins and almonds. Baba was putting huge quantities of it on people's plates. Just looking at it made my mouth water. I felt more hungry. I went forward, although Baba had been giving large portions to others. When I stood in front of him with my plate, he reached into the bagula pot with both hands and on the ladle, he took out one tiny pinch and dropped it on my plate. It was like a pinch of snuff. I could barely see it. I was so disappointed. I didn't say anything. I just stood there, staring at the speck on my plate. I didn't know whether to wait or to go away. I hesitated, wondering, has Baba made a mistake? Baba said, don't you have a cough and cold? Raw is not good for that. No, Baba, Mehera said, not really, just a little sore throat. Ah, a sore throat. It's not good for that either. You shouldn't have any rava. More words. More rava. But it's much better now. Pausing for a moment, Baba said, in that case, all right, have it, and ladled out a large portion. Baba liked to give a person a start. He was teasing me as he knew I craved the rava. Nacha said that she and Gulmai had prepared the rava that day, and they were afraid they would not be enough. There would not be enough, as so many villagers had come. But not only did everyone get served, there was even quite a bit left over. Baba's miracle, they concluded. Baba's elder brother, Jamshed, died on 27th February 1926 of a sudden heart attack at the age of 33. Previously, Jamshed had been staying at Meherabad in the ashram. Baba had warned him not to leave, but Jamshed had returned to Pune anyway. According to his cousin, Pendu, at the end, Jamshed was slightly crazed. Baba had called Jamshed's wife, Big Khorshid, to stay with the women at the post office for a few days. Jamshed, restive in Pune alone, went to the post office and lurked around the area, trying to have a glimpse of his wife. Baba gave him a hard slap because of it. Never do this again, Baba told him angrily. Jamshed's nature was hot-tempered, but he loved Baba passionately. Baba sent Big Khorshid to stay with Jamshed at Daulamasi and Feridun Masa's house for a few days. And his sister Mani was also there when he died. When Baba was informed by his father of his brother's death, he was unaffected. He used the situation to give a discourse on the hypocrisy of grief over anyone's death, especially one such as Jamshed, who had died taking Baba's name and thus come to Baba eternally. Daulamasi returned to Meherabad, but she left soon afterwards, and Baba considered disbanding the women's ashram. As now, who would oversee the cooking? It would be too much for Dalit Mai alone. Small Khorshid thought, if Baba closes the ashram, we won't have a chance to stay with him again. Although she herself did not know much about cooking, she told Mehera that they should ask Naja to accept the responsibility and that they would help her. Mehera agreed, and when they approached Naja, she mulled it over. Don't think about it, Khorshid said. Just say yes. We will help you as much as we can. Say yes. Naja came forward in front of Baba, and Khorshid said, Baba, Naja wants to tell you something. Naja told Baba, and he agreed. if you women want to continue to stay here, you will have to work hard. If you agree to do that, then stay. Otherwise, leave now. Besides, I don't really want women here. During this time, Baba was completing his book, staying most of the time in the table cabin. But on 29 March, he moved into the small box-like cabin that had been built in Sai Darbar for those visitors who wished to meditate. There, Baba worked in seclusion. Meherabad in those days was not noisy. There were not many people about, or buses and cars on the road, so he was not disturbed. Mehera said Baba was comfortable at Meherabad. Only a farmer or two passed by during the day. The sound of the train never disturbed us. We got used to it. There was a nice atmosphere. From 3 May until the end of June, Baba moved into a room in the abandoned water reservoir on Meherabad Hill, across the railroad tracks. This was another stone structure built by the British Army, massive and fort-like. But the area where the water had been stored did not have a door. To enter it, Baba had to climb an iron ladder to a window high up. After the first 7 days spent in seclusion, Baba wrote the book in the morning, made his usual rounds of inspection at Lower Meherabad in the afternoon, and went back to the tank in the evening to work on the book again. That's book with a capital B. When he was at Lower Meherabad, we would peek at Baba through the tata while cooking, said Naja. We would try to look at him all the time. When Baba crossed the railway line to walk up the hill, the women could not see him from inside their compound. Sometimes, however, Gustachi, who slept on the post office veranda as a watchman while Baba was up the hill, would pass word through Dalatmai. Girls, Baba is going up the hill. Then they would gather in the compound at a spot facing the railroad tracks, where there was a slight mound of dirt, enough to peer over the bamboo matting. What a commotion as they jostled for positions to see him. Excitedly, they would call to each other, and their voices would carry to Baba, who would turn around. He would see their heads peeping over the tatas and wave. They would become even more excited and wave back. Then Baba would turn and continue walking up the hill in his white sadra. It was about 4:30 p.m., said Mehera. The sun was not quite setting, and it shone through his open hair. It looked bright and beautiful, like a halo around him. He wore no hat or shawl and carried no umbrella. When out in the sun, the sidebar says, when out in the sun, Baba sometimes folded the towel 3 or 4 times and tied it around his head.
Hey, Rosalie,
Yeah.
Tina has to leave in a few minutes. Maybe we should hear from her a little bit.
Oh, thanks, Eugene. Where were you, Rosalie?
Carried no umbrella. Nadsha observed.
Finish this page.
Okay. Nadsha observed. When Baba was going up the hill, it was as if Christ was walking again. He seemed almost to float in the air. Wistfully, small Khorshid too recalled those days When he was leaving Lower Meherabad, we were all standing around and waving to him. Baba turned back and also waved. He looked like a fairy in his sadra, a very beautiful scene. After Baba climbed a little ways, he would turn around and see that the women were still there, their heads peeking over the barricade. Again, they would wave to him and he would wave back. He would walk further up and again turn and wave. There was no wall then around the reservoir on the hill, and they could see Baba climb the iron ladder to enter his room. Wow.
Oh, did you read the sidebar?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll pick up. He looked so tiny, Mara recalled, and we must have looked equally tiny to him. Right from the top of the ladder, Baba waved to us, signaling and motioning that it was now, that was enough now. Then he climbed through the biggish window-like opening into the huge, bare, dark room where he spent the night. Khorshid added nostalgically, I remember the days we spent in Meherabad with Baba. It's like a dream to me. It was such a happy time, such peace of mind. What enthusiasm we had. Now it seems like some good dream. On 20th September, Mera's uncle, Colonel Merwan S. Irani, paid an unexpected visit to Meherabad. He arrived at 7:30 in the morning in his own car. Baba was with the Mandali in the old Dharamshala and sent word inside to the post office through Padri to tell Dalit Mai and Mera to come out and meet the colonel. Mera and her mother walked from the post office to the main road where he was standing by his car, holding his cane. They had been cooking and wearing old sandals. Their ordinary crumpled cotton saris and long sleeve blouses stained with dal and the mathu banu. We look, I don't know what that is. We look.
That's they tie a cloth. It kind of looks like a nun. No hair is showing. Yeah.
We look so strange. I stood behind my mother feeling shy. Colonel Irani was a man who appreciated the finer things in life, particularly fashionable clothes. Most of the colonel's friends in Aden were Europeans, and he was always dressed in the latest style. He looked askance at his sister and her daughter. He did not like what he saw. They greeted each other, and incredulous Colonel gestured toward the desolate countryside and asked Dalit May, "You're staying here?" "Yes, but how can you," she said calmly, "but how can you stand it here? I don't see any houses or bungalows. There's nothing here but God-forsaken wilderness. Where do you live? How do you like to stay in this out-of-the-way jungle, uninhabited area with this young girl?" "I like staying here," Dalit Mai informed him. The colonel asked a few more questions and then said, "Dalit, I've brought the car especially for you. Even now you can come back with me to Pune. It doesn't look good for a young girl to stay here. I will see to Mara's marriage and get her settled into a nice home." Trying to persuade his sister, he promised, "I will look after you. I will provide whatever you and your daughter need." He tried his best to convince Dalit Mai to go with him, but she remained firm. Baba was testing her. She loved her brother dearly. Would Maya be able to pull her away? Tenderly, she told him, "Merwan, thank you for your concern, but we are quite happy here and want to stay. Mara wants to stay. So the colonel tried, and he never raised his voice and shouted. He tried sweet reason instead. There are so many men around, Meher Baba. This isn't proper to stay. Soon you will agree to come and stay with me in Pune. If not now, then soon. When Dowlat Mai again said no, the colonel was disappointed and now very, very upset. All right, he said, exasperated. You won't listen to me. This is my last attempt to dissuade you. I won't bother you further. I don't know if we will ever meet again. Recalled Mara, mother was quiet. She loved her brother, but she loved Baba more. Colonel Irani returned to Pune and continued writing highly derogatory articles about Baba. Adi Sr. brought a newspaper with the colonel's latest diatribe against Baba and read it to him. Baba said to give it to Dowlat Mai, and Padri took it to her. When she read it, she was shocked, so shocked and hurt that she was close to tears. Her own brother that she loved so much was writing awful things about her master. After a few minutes, Baba called her. Did you read it? Yes, Baba, she said, and I'm so sorry. I don't know what to do. Don't worry, this is my key. I have turned the key so that he writes against me. It is good. Your brother is doing my work. If today anyone in Pune is told who I am a Sadguru or a perfect master, they won't believe it. They wouldn't believe it. They won't have conviction. So they like to hear these things against me. When from house to house they are saying my name, even in gossip, it is beneficial to them. Let them say whatever they like. My divinity is unchanging, no matter how much opposition there is. Whatever anyone says about me cannot make me less than what I am. Don't worry, Baba concluded. A time will come when from every corner, people who are now talking and writing against me will come for my darshan. Dowlat Mai was relieved. She felt much better. When she and the other women had come to stay with Baba, those in Pune were given more fuel for the gossip, and this too had worried her. Let them talk, Baba said. We know we are not doing anything wrong. He had told his mother the same thing. Shireen Mai had come to Meherabad and said, it's all right for you, Meherab, to staying here in Meherabad, surrounded by your followers, but I have to live in Pune and I can't go anywhere because people talk. Do you know that what terrible things people say about you? Crooking her finger in his direction, Baba said, they will come from every corner to have my darshan. Nevertheless, Dowlat Mai and Mehra felt very sad that for their sakes, Baba's name was being dragged through the mud. Baba told them not to worry at all. It was so sad that poor Baba had to have his name in the papers and go through that. We felt terrible because of our following him. Baba was called such bad names, said Mehra. Dowlat Mai felt responsible for her brother's actions, but Baba told her, the Colonel Irani has a great connection with me. Baba's words proved correct when 30 years later, many the same Iranis and their descendants came to Guru Prasad for his darshan. So we're up to page 193. I'm going to end it there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I have to turn off the recording. Yeah, I do.